Okay, Joe, can you tell me a little bit about your business? Because we spoke briefly the other day at an event, and it was really good to meet you. It sounded like you were doing something really interesting. Just give us the elevator pitch. For people that don't know, tell us a little bit more about what you're building.
So StyleSwap is all about supporting brands, fashion brands, build their circular economy business, but particularly in the fashion resale space. So what does that really mean is that the second-hand market for clothing and fashion is growing exponentially, which is really exciting for us. And the shoppers out there are beginning to want to be more conscious with the way that they consume. And obviously now that we're much more aware of the environmental impact, particularly of our wardrobes now, that's why that market and consumer profile is growing. So we're here to actually help brands introduce a whole new revenue channel and business, which is basically buying and selling second-hand pieces under their brand name.
And it's growing massively. Like we were talking earlier before the episode about the market that you're in, and it's grown something like, tripled in size in the past couple of years or something like that?
Yeah, tripled in size since 2020, which is actually incredible. And if you look at the numbers compared to how fast new fashion is growing compared to second-hand, it's a pretty exciting space to be working in. And some of the reason for that is actually that obviously during times of recession, the consumer is really impacted, and it's beginning to be that we can see that most of our customer profiles are wanting to access good quality premium and luxury fashion, but for perhaps lower price points, and they can get there with a pre-loved item. And then our kind of second persona is all about the kind of sustainable consumer. They're conscious shoppers, they know the environmental impact of fashion, and what that looks like is actually that the fashion industry is the second most polluting industry in the world after oil and gas. And obviously this has been sort of covered in the press a lot now, so the consumer is aware that actually buying a new piece of fashion, there is some guilt attached to it, which is becoming a little bit uncomfortable.
I can feel that. I wear my own company, branded clothes, 90% of the time, just because for me, it's simplicity, it's easy, I know what I'm wearing, and it's good marketing at the same time. But if I'm ever buying something in Topshop or Primark, I feel guilty. I know I do. Or if my missus buys something on, is it Shein?
Shein, yeah.
Shein, yeah. If she buys something on there, I'm like, that is not good what you are doing. That's going to be broken down and gone, in a couple of weeks. And that's why I love your type of business, because there's been a couple of big players in that space, whether it's Depop or Thrifted or whoever. But I think the way that you're targeting that market is a little bit different, right? Because you're going after more luxury items that can be reused, whereas a lot of those platforms are more about just selling anything. Would it be fair saying that?
Yes, exactly. And where has this all come from, in fact? If I rewind to my own career, I've spent the last kind of 15, 16 years actually working in supply chain, production and design for fast fashion brands.
Big companies, right? Say some of the names that you've worked for.
So either supply side or in-house, I've worked closely with Zara, Topshop, Mango, ASOS, River Island, and what I experienced during that time was literally front row seats to the overproduction problem of the fashion industry. And there's an overproduction problem on one side, and an overconsumption problem on our side as the consumer. And the overproduction problem, I spent many years in factories in China and India, seeing this problem really kind of pan out, and the environmental impact of local communities near those factories as well. And it's a kind of multifaceted issue, because we've got sort of chemicals coming from the dyeing process of the printing and the solid dyeing of the fashion garments from the dye houses, going into local water supplies. And then there's obviously a whole other story around the carbon emissions that the industry produce on a factory level, and the transportation of all of these goods in the global supply chain. Now that There's a lot of product that is no longer being manufactured in the UK or near the UK, which is a real issue actually. And that actually had a real impact on my own purposefulness. And I felt, my job was actually really part of the problem of the fashion's environmental impact, and I wanted to do something.